Welcome to Indy's Real Estate Gurus, your ultimate guide to the dynamic world of real estate in Indiana. And I'm Rick Ripma, your hardworking mortgage guy, and I've been in real estate and mortgages for over 24 years.
And I'm Ian Arnold, a loan officer on Rick's hardworking mortgage team, and we are both with Advisors Mortgage Group. Together, we'll empower you with expert advice, market trends, and successful stories from guru realtors and local experts.
Whether you're a homeowner, investor, or pro, join us as we navigate the thriving Indy real estate market.
Now get ready to unlock the doors of success, one episode at a time. Hey, thank you for joining us today. And I have Chris Price here with us. And Chris, you are with what is it? Indy Property Source.
That is correct. The Indy Property Source is a team within Keller Williams Realty. So,
okay.
Yep.
And how long you been with them?
Well, I founded it. I've been in real estate 20 years. This is actually my 20th year. So I've been with Keller Williams since 06. So about 17. Yep.
That's awesome. All right. So before we get into more of the, how the business is, let's get into what did you do before? Where'd you grow up? Where'd you go to school? Did you have any jobs before you got in real estate?
Yeah, no, that's cool. So I grew up on the south side of Indianapolis. Went to school down there. I went to Roncalli, and then I went to University of Indianapolis. So it was all around the south side, and my first house was all down there. And so that's where I grew up. That's where I'm from. Oddly enough, I did not have any real jobs other than real estate coming out of college. Kind of the path that I ended up in.
So what made you choose real estate? Was it family members doing it, or?
Well, also a good question. So I was an economics major, and this was in 03. So the job market was a little weird. And I'd gotten so far with a couple of really big corporations, and they had hiring freezes. So I had interned a couple times in like a corporate setting, an office job, and aspects of it that I liked, but didn't really feel like a fit. So at that same time, I had my uncle had given me a book to read called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I loved it. So I had really kind of sparked my interest in investing in real estate. And so, kind of fast forward back to the job hunt, I was, I was looking for the career path, and it kind of defaulted into real estate. I started out at a smaller property management company and ended up getting licensed there, and just kind of evolved over time.
It's interesting. Most people don't start right away, right out of college. It's usually they do a couple jobs before and then jump into it. So now you started in about 06, and I know 08 is usually where it took its downfall. So how did you, get ready? You don't get ready for something like that, but how did you start up and then keep going? Because that had to be a rough time.
Well, it was certainly a rough time in general for most people in the market. So getting into it in 03, I had maybe a 5-year lead up till then. And in that time, had just gained a ton of experience in certainly working with home buyers and sellers, the traditional type clients, but also working with corporate clients. And I think that's really what helped me prepare me for that. Being able to price a home in a changing market, being able to work with investment institutions. And so going into 08, I had an office, I had a team that we were starting to build around me, and all of us together were really in a good spot going into that downturn, to where it wasn't something that we were hoping for, but we were prepared for it. So when that came, we were able to really, capitalize on just different opportunities in real estate.
So I understand that with us, with you, with realtors, the market changes dramatically.
Oh yeah.
So how do you have to try to plan for that? So for instance, you had '08 incidents, and then let's be honest, in COVID, 2021, 2020, it was you put a house for sale and it's gone in an hour.
Yeah,
so
right.
how do you work on change or work on how to adjust to the market?
Well, those are good questions. I think you always have to be kind of a student of the game. So I was an athlete growing up, really involved in sports and have coached. And I know that you always have to be learning. And, coming from my background in finance and economics, it really just being able to love to learn and to study allows you to be able to anticipate. So while I don't have a crystal ball like most people don't, I guess the answer to that would be that I really try to study the markets. I try to study what's going on here locally so that I can help our business, but also our clients to know what, is just over the horizon or whatnot. So,
yeah. And I like how you said our market, because you can listen to the news and they're talking about California and they're talking or the East and the West Coast. Indy market is completely different.
It is, yeah.
So where is your main area where you service?
Well, so our business, because we have some of those corporate clients still today, they really do stretch us in coverage. So we're all over central Indiana. We're part of 3 different MLS systems. And we have agents and team members that kind of cover different parts within central Indiana. So I live on the west side. I'm from the south side. I've got a big sphere in both those areas. And I really know the downtown market pretty well. But our team, we end up being all over. So,
yeah. Especially when you get a team, it's interesting that you might be like, all right, I don't want to go too far, but you have to go some distance. And the great thing in Indianapolis is you can travel anywhere in 30 minutes to an hour. You can be anywhere.
Right.
But especially when you start getting teams and one lives here, one lives over here, one lives on the north side, east side, whatever, it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah.
So you mentioned your team. So talk to us about your team.
Sure. Yeah, no, I don't know that I got into the business. Well, I kind of described how I got into the business almost by accident, but it was pursuing investing for myself. And as I had some success and ended up helping a lot of clients, the business just kind of, we built the business as a way to just a part of our natural path of growth. And so I didn't necessarily go with the intent of maybe building a team, but I knew that we needed, in order to grow, in order to help our clients out in a more effective way, we needed to have a team, around us. So, so over the years, it's evolved. We've had different positions and different things like that. But essentially, we have an operations group and a sales group. So the people doing the unlicensed activities that support the sales group that's doing the servicing of our clients that, buy, sell, invest, and build. So
I did hear that your wife works with you.
You did?
Yes. So does she boss you around a lot there?
She does. Yes. She's awesome. We've been fortunate to have been in business before. And then she took some time off to raise our daughter and coming back into real estate. She's got a mortgage background. She's worked in transaction coordination and things like that. So it really helps to have a spouse, but also a partner like that that's on the same wavelength, I guess. And so, no, it's been really good.
It makes a huge difference because I will tell you this right now. I've been in sales my whole entire life. And then my wife is an accountant. So besides a certain times a year, she basically works a 9-to-5 job.
Sure.
She doesn't realize I get a phone call on Saturday. Hey, I gotta go for a little bit or something like that. I gotta go sit on the computer. She's not used to that. It's nice that your wife understands that and be like, hey, I gotta step out for a little bit.
Yeah. So at our company, they talk about the work-life balance, but almost like a counterbalance to where if you swing too far in one direction, that just know that you got to make an adjustment to help make up for it. So those Saturdays or Sundays where I'm maybe working with a client, I just have to, or just know that I need to make up that time. So yeah,
Yes. Good. I did that when I was in the car industry. We had work every Saturdays. Then in the middle of the week, I'd be like, all right, so Wednesdays, that's when everything's going to get done. Mm-hmm. And it's nice. I'll tell you this right now. If you got to go grocery shopping, go to the middle of the week. Nobody's there.
Solid. It's a good tip.
So how did you set up a work-life balance? Because I know that's hard, especially for newer people.
It is. And I will say it's an ongoing feat because things are always changing. New market environment, especially like you mentioned during COVID, where things were so fast paced, you really just had to just be able to adapt to it. So I think it comes down to time management. Just being able to block time. So it sounds silly, but I will time block in order to time block. So I set aside time to plan for my week, to plan for my days. And within that, I know that, okay, if soccer or gymnastics or whatever is during this time, then I'm just going to build, my week around that. So,
yep. And time blocking is vital in our industry because we could, all right, I got to call these 5 people. Well, as soon as you call that one person, something else, you might get a message, hey, I need to go do this, or wait, what happened to those other 4 people? Yeah. We do the same thing here is between 9 and 11, we make our phone calls. Mm-hmm. We basically turn off everything else and just make our phone calls. Because if not, anything and everything will get in that way.
Yeah.
So I want somebody to be on your time block. So what is the best way somebody can contact you?
Yeah. Well, as you know, in sales, the door's always open, but it's very similar to what you're saying. We try to get our follow-up and our conversations going in the mornings so that if we had to leave a message or something, they could call us back in the afternoon. But that's, that's a good time. Mm-hmm. I mean, if there is a good time, but we usually try to stay pretty accessible, and just try to get back with people if we miss them. So. And
what number would they reach you at?
So a good number would be 317-225-5507. So 317-225-5507. It's a direct business number for me.
Awesome. And if you want to get a hold of Rick or I, go to hardworkingmortgageguys.com. That is hardworkingmortgageguys.com. Or you can call us at 317-672-1938. And I did forget to mention earlier, Rick is not feeling well, so you're stuck with me. All right.
You're doing great.
Yes, I'm doing something right. I just want a gold star.
There you go. I'll give it to you.
All right, Chris. So here's a good question. I want people to get to know you a little bit more. Okay. So if I got to take away your phone, you cannot work. So we're time blocking 24 hours off. What do we catch you doing for fun?
Yeah, I do like to spend it with my family. That's important to me. We like to try to do new experiential type things. So I always like maybe visiting a place here locally that's a little bit different or new. Getting outside. So whether that's maybe fishing or just doing stuff out in our yard. I like doing that. We've got a garden at home. That's been something that we've kind of picked up on. So as much time as we can get away from screens and, breathe some of that outdoor air. That's what I like to do. So
I will agree. So how old roughly are your kids?
So we've got some older kids in their 20s, and then we have a 9-year-old.
Okay. So I have a 6 and 8-year-old. The one thing I like is both of them got into planting little seeds, and I did it just to goofing around. I was cutting up a pepper, took all the seeds and tossed it into my wife's plants. Then one of my kids come up and they're like watching. They're like, "What is that?" My wife walks over and goes, "Yeah, what is that?" I go, I toss some pepper seeds in there.
Yeah.
So they got the curiosity. So it's kind of nice for them to then now they'll just grab seeds and we'll plant them, and they get to watch from the start and watch it and then bear fruit. Now, this year hasn't been very good, but it's been better in the past years. So
yeah.
I think that's one thing valuable for kids to see, one, the hard work, and two, where does your food actually come from?
Yeah.
So what do you guys get to grow?
What do we grow? We have these like cherry tomato type plants that are just monstrous. They probably are over 6 feet tall now. So we got a ton of tomatoes. We've got jalapeno peppers, green peppers. We did broccolini, and sunflowers and some stuff like rhubarb too was a fixture for us.
So if you need vegetables, just go to your house, right?
Yeah, sure, yeah. We've got extra.
Now I will say we did pickles one time. We took the zucchinis and we made pickles, and I didn't know it would be that easy. I thought it would be a little bit more of a process, but it was actually kind of nice because you can flavor it the way you want. And I was actually quite impressed.
Yeah.
So let's get back onto the real estate and you on the side. So what would you consider your superpower?
Superpower. Well, I don't know that I have any superpower over anyone else, but I guess if I were to put something down, I would say it's resilience. So if you've been in business for a certain amount of time, you will go through different things, and the failure rate on small businesses is pretty high that anybody could look up. So I think just being able to set some things aside, put in a sacrifice, all the buzzwords, grit and all that kind of stuff. But it really is, because you to go through a tough period or a tough decision and have the patience and to check your emotions, maybe to do it. I think that's probably what I would say my superhero is. My superhero power would be. So.
Hey, I don't know if I've heard the superhero as resilience, but I'll hear about the power. All right. I do have to agree with you, because what is it? It's like in the first 5 years, 70% of businesses fail. Mm-hmm. Well, even in real estate, it's even worse, which it shocked me that it was. And in 3 years, 90% of realtors fail in the first 3 years. When I heard that stat, I was like, did I read that correctly?
Yeah.
So resilience has to be in there for you. So I think that's a huge superpower.
Yeah.
So what do you think has made you so resilient and a fighter?
Yeah. No, that's good to think about. Well, I follow Jesus. So for me, that is where I lean on, for a lot of that power, and my upbringing really facilitated that. And my parents just taught me to work hard through sports, and get good grades. So like that balance, that work-life balance thing, I learned at a very young age. So just being able to juggle a lot of different responsibilities, and I saw my parents work really hard. My grandparents had a grocery store that they had, remained independent, and just I saw them work really hard at it, and so probably a lot of good examples in my life that I've seen that.
Yeah. I fully agree with that, just because we try to do that with our kids too. And I'm glad that even like on a Saturday or whatnot, if I get a phone call, hey, I need a pre-approval, my kids see me go work. They also see the fun dad, but they understand, like during the summer, they would come into the office with me and I'm doing my calls, and my son's looking at me, Dad, you're making a lot of calls. I go, yep, this is part of the job, son. Yeah. But they get to see that work ethic.
That's good.
So I fully agree with you. I mean, I think kids need to see that. They don't just need to see fun and entertaining mom and dads. So
yeah, that's good.
So how would you describe your brand?
Our brand, so the Indy Property Source, that's our team. It's a website and all the social media channels are out there. But we really want to be a platform that people can grow their real estate careers in. And we've been in business a long time. I will say that we do end up working on a lot of complex things. So in residential real estate, you've got traditional buyers and sellers, which is our bread and butter, just like most anyone else. But we also we can really help out in tough to sell properties that are either in really bad condition or just very unique. So where I'm going with that, I guess, is that we've been problem solvers since day one. We've always been. We don't come with a cookie cutter solution. It's more of a customized approach to real estate. So
those houses that need work, I mean, so what do you guys just and sell them to an investor, or do you guys try to fix them up yourself, or what do you guys do?
Well, all of the above. So I guess whatever is going to make most sense to the client. So we may have our ideas, but we'll set the table for them.
Give them options.
Here's an as is, what it looks like. Maybe that looks like us buying it from them and fixing it up, but only if that's the best solution for them. Maybe it's some minor cleanup or small repairs, or maybe it's larger repairs or staging. And oftentimes it really just comes down to the property, but we've done all sorts of different strategies. So I think that's maybe what sets us apart.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's always interesting. And I watch it in my neighborhood, and I'm like, I look at a house and I'm like, they put pictures and I was like, I don't think that house is going to sell too well. And it looks like it went to an investor. So it's just one of those things. It's interesting to see the different avenues each house can go into, because one, you never know the situation. And for instance, we've had some people, I mean, you got people that are getting rid of their home because they got to go to a special needs home, or you got some people that need to sell because, hey, I just got another kid. We don't have enough bedrooms. Yeah. So every situation is different. Yeah. But it's awesome that you are able to give multiple different options. Hey, if you're in this type, I can help you. If you're in this type, I can help you. So
that's what consumers want, like not just in real estate, but especially right now in real estate, they want to have options and choices. So yeah, not to cut you off there.
No, you're good.
That's super important. Yeah.
So when you run into an obstacle, how do you get through those roadblocks?
Well, I like to say that I lean on experience. But I will also say that I have not been in every situation. Something new comes up seemingly every week. So, I try to go and seek advice from other people that have had experience or that I trust, or research it and find an answer out. But, being a problem solver is so much a part of what we do that, I really take that as a really important part of our job, is to go out and not allow a traditional roadblock to stop a client from being able to sell their home or to buy. I mean, we really just try to go the extra mile.
I think one thing also that you have working with your company / Keller Williams is you have resources there. Just think of how many people, if you would go, hey, look, I have this question. Anybody been through it? You probably have countless people shoot you an email back. Yeah, this is how we handled it. So I think having those team members, either on your team or part of the Keller Williams group, is phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. For an example, let's say there's somebody that needs to build a home and, but they want to sell their home up front and maybe lease it back, for 6 months. We actually have an option for that. Whereas a lot of times they just think that's not an option, or just to sell their home to get the equity out and then just lease back for a little bit until they find out if their job's going to relocate. Those are some of those non-traditional options that we seek to provide. So that is huge, especially in today's market. Yeah. Because especially with the contingency offers and like a lot of people don't, I need to sell my home. Oh, wait, this home is selling in 3 or 4 days. I got to hurry up, jump on that one, but I got to sell mine first. So that's actually a really great option. Yeah. Is that what you guys do, or is it Keller Williams, or? Oh, both. We've got some programs that people will fit into. We've certainly adopted them at our team, and so things like that, or hey, I've got credit that's maybe dinged up a little bit, and let's come up with a plan to get you. Maybe you're not going to buy right now, but 12 months from now.
Yep. Yeah, especially when you're talking about the first-time home buyers who are trying to build their credit up, and we do a lot of we're part of Indian housing and all that. So it's when you have that first conversation, some people are thinking, "Oh, we are 4 or 5 years away." I'm like, some people might be, but I would say the vast majority, between 6 months to a year, we can easily get you pre-approved. Now, again, you might be in a starter home, and that's okay because then you gain equity. But it's interesting, and I like how you said, hey, in about 12 months, we can do it. Because that is about right.
Yeah.
Whether it's building credit, down payment, or whatever. But that's phenomenal. So if somebody's wanting to get in contact with you to either buy, sell, or just talk real estate, how are they in touch with you?
Yeah, phone's great. I dropped the phone number earlier, but we're also theindypropertysource.com is our website. You can find us under that name on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, all the social media channels, hopefully, that you can find us on. But really, wherever you find us, we usually try to be pretty responsive on.
All right. So now we usually get into the question of the week. So the question of the week, though, is I'm kind of curious, but what was your first car?
My first car.
Yep.
That's a good one. I was fortunate enough for my grandmother. She gave me a Chrysler New Yorker. I think it was a gift.
You took it as a gift.
It was. Now, people at first look at it, they might say that's a pink car. And I called it mauve because that's what that was better. And so it was actually really cool because it was dated at the time I got it, but it was in good shape, and the car talked. So when you open the door, it would say, kind of like in a Knight Rider voice, it would say, "Your door is ajar," type of thing. So that was always a good conversation starter.
Those are good until that sensor goes out.
Yeah.
And then you're driving down the street, your door is ajar. Your door is ajar.
Yeah, that's not good.
So how do the girls feel about you driving the pink car?
Oh, yes. It was it definitely boosted my popularity.
All right, there we go. It's reason why we ask that question is always interesting. Some people have great stories. We do have other people who go, I think it was this, and it's like no stories. And it's just interesting that, but usually the first car is always
that's a good one.
Good memories. So the New Yorker,
yeah,
you don't hear those too often. So
nostalgia. Yeah.
All right, so I like hearing stories. So what do you think your most favorite memory was with a deal?
Oh, favorite memory. Man, so we have had a lot of good memories over the years. I would say one of them that's interesting, if not good, was we sold a home in, it was bank owned, and it was in Martinsville. And it was kind of like tucked away into the woods, and it was about this time of year, so it was kind of approaching Halloween. And there were just a lot of aspects to this house that were weird, and it had and they weren't like jail cell bars, but it looked like there might have been that in the basement, and just all kinds of weird stuff. And the rumor got out that it was like a Halloween house, and man, I could, like, everybody in my board wanted to go look at it, and there was like stuff popping up on social media where like these Halloween tracking tours, and it was kind of off the hook, and it was very memorable. It was also very stressful to deal with because we had to go back and we had to take some stuff out of the house so that it wasn't a distraction, and make sure the sheriff's department came out and knew what was going on. So we ended up selling it. It was very interesting, but that goes back to maybe some of that unique problem solving that we do, and that was memorable. So I don't know if that was a good memory, but I do remember that.
So did you guys dress it up in Halloween decorations?
We did not. No, we didn't need to.
It is interesting. There was a house in our neighborhood that I guess I found out later before I moved in that their daughter kept it leaving. So they put bars in the front, and I'm like, that'd be kind of weird. But I understand the reason, trying to make sure your kid is not sneaking out. But I'm like, there's alarms for that nowadays.
Yeah, that might hurt the resale.
Yeah. And then anybody else around you.
Yeah.
So with realtors, there's a lot of misconceptions. So let's talk about what's a misconception customers or people not in real estate have about realtors.
Well, I had misconceptions about real estate agents before I got in. Part of the reason I probably didn't want to get into the industry was I felt like it was very very salesman-y type role, you know, that like that you constantly had to be like talking to people about selling or buying, and that was my fear, is that I would always have to be like having those conversations. And then getting into the business, just knowing that I can provide a value to someone, and that if I don't talk to them about real estate, not in a salesman type way, but just that I can show that I can provide value, that they're missing out. So, you know, a lot of times people know, well, not all the time, but people know that I'm in real estate and I won't try to sell them on anything. But if they want to talk about it, I'll talk to them about it. And so I think just knowing that not all real estate agents are in it for the next closing or the money, but, you know, like I talked about earlier with resilience and persistence, you know, this is a career for me. This is a brand that we built. This is what we do. So I'm not in it for like the next closing, if it's going to sacrifice like my reputation or anything like that. I know I'm in this for the long haul, and if that means saying no to something or turning a client away because it's not a good fit, then I'll do that, you know, for the long run. Whereas I don't know that the general public always sees it that way. But I mean, there's just like, you know, the mortgage industry or any service that you're involved in providing, that there's really good people in it, and that, you know, we're in this, you know, this is our career. So, you know, that's how I look at it. So.
Yeah. I think the internet has changed the way that we have to do business. A lot of times you had to keep educating people. I mean, don't get me wrong, we still educate people, but we're more, instead of being a salesperson, because you can find all the information you want on a home, matter a few clicks, but we become more advisors. What information can I give you that you can't get or that you need? And I think that is what separates the fly-by-night salespeople and the career people. Because we definitely, I mean, especially when things are good, especially what was it, and during COVID, everybody wanted to become a realtor because they saw how easy it was. Well, guess what? It's not always easy.
It's not, no, and I think that maybe attributes to some of the turnover rate in real estate, but you know, there'll be good people that got into the business within the past couple of years that are going to figure it out. But then there is that hard truth that this is a, you know, skill-based work, that you've got a lot of different things that we do as real estate agents or loan officers, that it's more than just opening a door. So.
Correct. Oh, it's not just open the door and you sold a house. There's a lot of paperwork. That's what
it looked like on TikTok.
I think that's the biggest one. I think that people will say is, which you could take it two different ways, is all realtors do is open the door and there it is. Well, that's a bad way to look at it, because there's a lot of stuff that's only like 1% of what you guys actually do. But it's also a good thing, is because you took all the issues and made it seem like it was nothing. So I look at it as a compliment. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I'm going to think it as a compliment.
Yeah. Make it. That's a good point. Make it look a little bit simpler than it actually is. But
it's like you got to be that duck on the pond. You look smooth as can be, but under the water, your feet are moving 100 miles an hour.
Oh yeah. I mean, you do. You really have to be a counselor for whoever your clients are, because this is such a huge decision involving a lot of people's biggest investment. And so I don't take that lightly at all. And just to know that there's emotions that are tied up, sometimes between family members or just with, you know, such a big life decision, that, I mean, that's why I don't think that really any of this can be automated, because of the human element to it of buying and selling a house. Is you have to work through stuff, and that's constantly what we're doing on the real estate side of it.
Yeah, I saw something they were thinking that AI was going to take over. I'm like, I don't see that. I mean, there's too much gray area and things that could come up. And like you said, the emotions. I mean, what is it? Most I think all realtors need their psych license too, so they can deal with all the issues that you're going to have. Whether it's, hey, they just lost their parents and have to sell the house, or hey, we need to downgrade or something like that. So when you downgrade, when you go from a bigger house because you had 5 kids and now you got just you and your wife, and you downgrade, guess what? You got to get rid of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of emotion you're trying to get through. So I do agree. There's no way it can go to AI. I mean, I hate to say it, my job could kind of do it, but there's still a lot of people don't know what they don't know. So when I say that is like you give them options. So somebody asks me for, hey, what's your best rate? Well, after they get me all my information, I actually give them usually 3 different ones. One with the lowest rate, one with the lowest closing costs, one might be in the middle, might change the year or something like that. Because no matter what you think, somebody else might think completely differently. And I don't know how many times, and this is what Rick taught me when I first got in here, is you never know. You could choose one and think but that's the way you think. And they could even tell you, I want the lowest rate. But as soon as you show them the lowest closing cost and the rate's not very different, they're jumping on that one.
Yeah. So
you got to show them options. And I love that you show options.
Yeah. No, that is super important. You put it in a great way there that I think you can't make the decision for someone. We're advisors.
Yep.
Like someone has a financial advisor for their investment portfolio. I mean, essentially that's what we do.
Yep.
So
you said you have a 20-year-old kid. So have they thought about dabbling in the real estate?
I mean, there's been a little bit of interest in the older kids, but primarily they're exploring their own path right now. So we'll see how that goes.
It is very interesting. And I will say this, that you talk to people that their parents are real estate agents. Mm-hmm. They went off and did something else. They're like, I'm never getting to real estate. And then after 10 years of doing whatever they need to do, they go back and go, maybe I should try real estate. And then they do phenomenal.
Back in, there.
So it's still there, so you can pass on your legacy.
No, it is. I mean, it can be a good family business because of the experience, the wisdom that you attain over time, and you want to be able to pass that off onto your kids. And your kids, they eventually will probably want to buy a home, and so you get to work with them in that process, and so you're passing that wisdom to them personally, but then they get to see on a professional level what you do. So I think that would be good. I mean, if it's in the cards. If it's not, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. But yeah,
you don't push them. But let's be honest. You basically opened up your own company. I mean, you work with Keller Williams, but you have your own thing. Doesn't every parent just want to be like, hey, this is a family legacy. I'm going to pass this on to you, and I'm going to retire.
I mean, that would be amazing. I'd love to be able to gift that type of legacy to one of my kids or all of our kids. So I mean, that's part of the excitement about being an entrepreneur is you get to make decisions like that and do those things. And so, hopefully someday.
Yep. So since you're an expert in the Indy market, now I'm not going to hold anything to your head or anything like that, but what do you see in the next few years, do you think?
Yeah, I think that we have a lot of really interesting things going on. When I first got into the business in Indianapolis, there was a very flat-lined appreciation. So we were very stable. We were a very stable market. Really, we didn't have those. We didn't have the high cost of living. We still don't. We also don't have geographic borders that surround Indianapolis, like mountains or a coast or anything like that. So the sprawl to the outlying areas has helped with options, affordable options and things like that. So we kind of had always that going on. We were certainly affected by the housing downturn, and if you look at still stories coming out today, home builders still haven't kind of fully caught up with where the experts might say they should have for inventory wise. So, with all of that kind of background, I think Indianapolis is still susceptible to maybe a nationwide shift in the real estate market. We're not one of the frontline markets to maybe a huge upswing or a huge downswing like a Phoenix or markets in Florida like Miami, but we get impacted by that. So we're somewhat insulated, but we usually see what's coming ahead of us. So I can say that. I think what we have to see is pricing has to be relaxed. You're in mortgage, so interest rates are quite a bit higher than they were a year ago, 2, maybe 3 times as high. So the affordability, when you go in to get pre-approved, you can't afford as much house, and that house prices haven't really changed yet. So people are either forced to buy a home with less amenities maybe, or smaller, or just not to buy at all. So in a free market of supply and demand, that means that demand starts to taper off. And I believe that's where we'll go. There are some interesting things going on. You never know how the government will come in and intervene and all that stuff, and that affects things nationally. But builders have really seemed to be the I don't know if it'd say Band-Aid, but they've really done a good job at bridging the gap in our current market. So you've got people that maybe aren't going to sell because their interest rate's at 3%, and then you've got buyers that need to buy. So you've got that, we hear inventory shortage, which Indianapolis is certainly in that. But then the builders being able to come in that $300,000 to $500,000 price range, which you might call a move up price point, but they've really been able to keep the inventory out there, and whether that's them, buying down the rate or whatever it looks like, I think that's what's sustained things currently. But again, I think that, I should say this. After COVID, we all had probably ideas what was going to happen, and that's maybe prolonged things. So I would normally not prognosticate on the real estate market. But since you asked me, I think that's what has to happen. I think that prices have to come down.
Yep. Yeah. I think look, I'm never going to say you're not Miss Cleo. You don't have a crystal ball.
Yeah.
So, but it's just an interesting discussion, especially in the way we are now. I mean, what is it? During COVID, and the average house increased 19% in appreciation. That is just nuts. There's no way you can hold that. Now, I will also say that even the prices have gone up, but so has especially a lot of the newer salaries, especially for people just getting out. I mean, I drove by Chick-fil-A the other day, and I think they had a sign, wanting workers starting at $19 an hour. I'm like, where was that when I was 18?
Yeah. Inflation.
Yeah. But it's just one of those things you just look at it and you're just like, wow, that's incredible that they're up that high. But no, I agree with you. The housing shortage, I think it is the biggest issue right now here around Indy. We see it. I think my board the other day posted it was like 9 days on market and my board, and I'm just saying this for anybody listening, is Marion County and basically all the surrounding counties. So it's like total of 13 counties, but average day was like 9 days. And I'm like, that's crazy, on the market for 9 days. So that's phenomenal, but it just says we have a lack of inventory. Now, I will say the one good thing about the rates going up, and you might have seen this too, is first-time home buyers. Mm-hmm. They can now purchase. Yeah, they may not be able to get the house that they were looking at because the rates went up, but now they don't have to put down 40, 50K extra that they didn't already have because they're first-time home buyers, because that's what they're bidding over asking price.
Well, that's the beauty of how the market should work, is when the competition pulls back, those opportunities exist for like the first-time home buyers, which is awesome. That's a good point.
But I want to thank you for all your knowledge that you've given us today. And what is the best way if somebody wants to sit here and not really here, but on the phone or in your office and talk to you about real estate, or if they want to buy or sell, how do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so it's going to be, we have a team number, 317-886-8477. That gets myself or one of my coworkers on the line, talk about the Indy property source. We love setting up in-person meetings, so that's number one probably. And then my direct number is 317-225-5507.
All right. And if you'd like to get a hold of Rick or I, go to hardworkingmortgageguys.com. That is hardworkingmortgageguys.com. And our phone number is 317-672-1938. And Chris, I want to thank you for coming on the show today. It's been a pleasure having you on.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. It's good to get out here and and do this online. Hopefully people found some value in it. So I definitely appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you. And reminder, if you have any friends, family, or coworkers looking to buy, sell, or refinance, let us know. We'd be more than happy to help you. Thank you.
Branch NMLS number 33041. Rick Ripma's NMLS number 6645890. Ian Arnold's NMLS number is 1995469. Equal housing opportunity. Some restrictions apply.